Time for Easy Money with E, so we'll welcome in Erica, our sports betting analyst. And Erica, while the Cup Series has not been on track in the last couple weeks, things are heating up in Paris for the Olympics. And I know last time we talked, you were actually looking at some Olympic bets, so where did those stand?
Yeah, I gave you guys two bets for the Olympics, and one was Steph Curry to be the leading scorer for Team USA basketball squad, and that was at plus 350. Well, we know now, Kim, that that's probably not going to hit. That's probably going to end up being LeBron or Kevin Durant or maybe even Anthony Edwards. However, I did also give you guys a best bet for the leading scorer for the women's basketball team, and that was Asia Wilson at plus 220. And that is actually shortened. So now she's like minus 140. So if she keeps on showing up, Kim, we're going to have some cash in our pockets for my best bets for the Olympics.
Speaking of cash in our pockets, I know the NASCAR fans are eager to put their money on Richmond this weekend. The Cup Series back in action. What is the first bet you're looking at for this weekend?
I'm super excited. My first bet for this weekend is Kyle Larson at plus 240 to be a top three finisher. Now, caution, guys. I need for you to shop around because I have found this line as short as a plus 140. And I really pray by the time you guys are watching this, plus 240 is still available for you because it gives you an edge. And I want that advantage for you. But we know that Kyle Larson runs incredibly well at short tracks, and he finished third here in the spring. But we also know, Kim, that Larson doesn't have to be aggressive because he's beyond locked and loaded into the playoffs. But even though he doesn't have to be aggressive, Kim, I still think that unless there's some wacky weather, I'm looking at you, Tropical Storm Debbie, or a crazy finish, which we've had a lot of crazy finishes leading up to the Olympic break. I don't see why Larson would not have a podium finish. As a matter of fact, I even like his plus 700 odds to be an outright winner.
I like the Larson pick because you think about the tire option this weekend. That means strategy comes into play, and Cliff Daniels is a wizard when it comes to making calls at the racetrack. All right, so one bet down. What's the next bet we're looking at?
Bubba Wallace plus 350 to be a top five finisher. Now, unlike Larson, Bubba does need to be aggressive because, as we know, he has not locked himself into the playoffs. He does have four top five finishes on the season, including a top five finish at Indy leading up into this Olympic break. Now, I know that's several weeks ago, but I do think that's still worthy of some momentum going into really what is a must win situation for Wallace. So, plus 350, Bubba top five finisher. I know some folks aren't going to like that spot. So, for those people, I have another bet for you, and that is Bubba Wallace and Kyle Busch to both finish in the top 10 at plus 310. Great value, great price.
Okay, I like the Bubba pick. He's made up a lot of ground in the point standings. He was on a little bit of a surge before the break, but the Kyle Busch pick has me scratching my head a little bit. Explain this to me because I know he's also in one of your other bets.
Wait for it, guys. I have Kyle Busch as a top 10 finisher at plus 110. And I know that's very rich coming from the president of the Fade Kyle Busch Coalition, but the tables have turned and here we are. And let me tell you why I like that bet, Kim. Plus 110, first of all, that's on the plus money side. But guys, shop around because I've also seen that at minus 110. Definitely want the plus money. I also like that because he finished third in this exact race a year ago in July of 2023. So we know that Busch can get it done.
You know I'm a safe bettor, and this Kyle Busch still feels like a huge liability to me.
So, speaking of liability, you and I did talk a little bit earlier, and it's so interesting to me, Kim, that at one particular sports book, Busch is a liability because so many folks have backed him as an outright winner at plus 3,000 that if that ends up happening, that spot would be a bad place for this particular sports book. Now, I'm not one of those bettors who's backing Kyle Busch at plus 3,000 because I don't think he's going to get into victory lane this year. However, I don't think that you can ever count out a two-time champion. I think that he can still put together some good races to have some solid finishes as the season winds down.
That's a really great point. But Erica, it's still very early in the week. You know, you've mentioned the weather. We've talked about the tire options. There's so many factors at play this weekend at Richmond. So how important is it for bettors to shop around, particularly this week?
It's so important, Kim. I found Larson at plus 700 as an outright winner. I also found him at plus 450 as an outright winner. Again, I found Busch at plus 110 to finish in the top 10. I found him at minus 110. So when you don't shop around, you could possibly end up leaving money on the table. I know sometimes as bettors, we just want to put our money down as soon as we see something, but the savvy bettor shops around until they get the best number. And that's what I want you guys to do this week before Richmond.
Well, great information for all the race fans that are ready to put their money down for Richmond. And keep Erica on your radar because she's going to have bonus bets later in the week. Erica, thank you so much. We're thrilled to have you, and we will see you next week as we preview Michigan International Speedway.